One of the most terrible female guards of the Third Reich, Erna Wallisch, left her mark on the history of Nazi Germany also by the fact that she committed her crimes, including being pregnant. In the list of the most wanted Nazi criminals, Semyon Wiesenthal, Nazi hunter, Erna Wallisch is number 7. The future executioner, like many of her colleagues, was born in 1922. She began her career as a housekeeper and traditionally did not stand out for anything significant. Until, having joined the National Socialist Party of Germany, Erna, having confirmed her full-blooded Aryan origin, joined the ranks of the Women's Auxiliary Unit of the SS in 1941. In such units, cadets were trained either for service in communications units or for service in the positions of guards of concentration camps. By the way, the subjects that the girls studied there were quite serious. Various methods for eliminating riots and unrest among prisoners, ways to recognize sabotage, dog breeding, even training was held to work with sticks, whips and clubs. At the same time, future guards developed resistance to prayers, eradicated any sympathy and pity in their souls. Therefore, there is nothing surprising in the fact that graduates arrived at their duty stations as prepared as possible. And as for Erna Wallisch, she was clearly one of the best graduates. It should be noted that all new arrivals went through a 3-month probationary period, following which a decision was made about their future fate, either to leave in the service or to be transferred to other units. Only the most ruthless were left in the positions of overseers. Erna Wallisch remained. Her first place of service was the Ravensbrück women's concentration camp, which at that time contained German women, for some reason classified as asocial elements, gypsies with children, and criminals. Gradually, with the course of the war, the camp began to fill up with prisoners from other countries and regions. Having shown her best side for a year, Erna Wallisch was transferred to the Majdanek camp. It was in this camp that Erna Wallisch got the nickname, Monster in a Skirt, turning into the most cruel guard. Fate sometimes brings amazing surprises. In this camp, Erna Wallisch met her fate, the guard Georg Wallisch. An interesting coincidence, a month before the wedding of lovers, which was held at the place of work. By the way, Erna Wallisch got married already at a fairly long gestational age, which, however, did not prevent her from atrocities so that even now her hair moves from the memories of a few witnesses. A month after the wedding, Erna Wallisch left Majdanek, going to give birth in a quiet and prosperous Austria. Actually, it was the child who saved her from justice. The area in Vienna where the former warden lived was in the American occupation zone after the end of the war, so all attempts by the authorities of the USSR and Poland to call Wallisch to account were unsuccessful. Already in 1946, Erna's husband also returned from the camp, and the family began to live quite calmly and safely. Moreover, despite the post-war attempts of the Poles to somehow call on the Austrian authorities to reason, nothing happened. 5 surviving witnesses were found who were ready to testify against Erna Wallisch, but the warden herself least of all wanted to visit Poland, where she was threatened with at least life imprisonment, and the Austrian prosecutor's office simply got off with replies. Finally, when the case again took a serious turn in the early 1980s, and Wallisch could very likely stand trial, the Austrian authorities refused to extradite the criminal with surprising motivation. In addition, the Austrian authorities explained that the case of Erna Wallisch falls under the law on criminal prosecution, according to which the statute of limitations on the case has long expired. On this basis, in 1972, the criminal case against Erna Wallisch was terminated by the Austrian authorities, despite the new evidence of direct guilt and involvement in the abuse of prisoners. Moreover, the Austrian authorities did not even react to the indignation of the world's leading media, such as the Daily Mail newspaper, which, without any sympathy for the communist ideology, expressed sincere indignation at Austria's inaction. The whole problem is that too many in Austria believe that the events of the middle of the last century should remain only on the pages of history books. That's bullshit. Mrs. Wallisch is not history. She is alive, and we are obliged to judge her for those people whom she prematurely turned into history. It is interesting that in Austria, the Wallisch family not only did not hide their past, but was also proud of it. They were easily found by correspondents of various publications. They calmly gave interviews, of course, if they did not touch on the condemnation of Wallisch's activities. For example, when representatives of the Simon Wiesenthal Center or historians who were interested in the Majdanek period tried to get to the old woman Wallisch, the dear grandmother again turned into a monster in a skirt, who without ceremony pushed uninvited guests out the door. Moreover, Erna herself joined the so-called Union of Veterans, created after the war, the mutual aid society of former members of the SS troops. The main goal of this organization, amazing in its essence, was to restore the status quo of the former SS troops, to provide them with all the rights and freedoms provided for by the laws of the host countries. Erna Wallisch herself died at the age of 86 in 2008. This is where our video ends. Friends, I will be very grateful if you just like, write a comment and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for being with us.